Rarest.
See you podcast time for Tuesday, April 23rd. A few weeks from Pat's birthday, 2019. Get those gift ideas ready. I got my Amazon wish list. No. That's Ian Ferguson. I'm Pat Conchi. What are we talking about? We're talking about Ninja being one of the most influential people of all time, apparently.
Yes.
The 30th anniversary of the Game Boy. Extraterrestrials, rare Atari game on eBay. Prototype updates. More prototypes found for the Super Nintendo. Yay! A preservationist update. In China, game ban, a Tales from the Game Store, and a Patreon poll topic. Ian, what's been going on with you? You downloaded some Mortal Kombat?
Yeah.
Mortal Kombat?
Yeah, so I actually didn't realize. I woke up yesterday and I was like, man, Mortal Kombat comes out soon. And I was like, wait a second, what's today? I think it comes out tomorrow. So
Midnight.
Over here on the West Coast, it's nice because games unlock, digital download games unlock at 9. So
they don't code them to time codes.
It's basically it's once it's midnight on the East Coast, it's available everywhere. So
God bless that being on the West Coast football games are earlier.
Yeah,
things just end earlier. The fucking Oscars don't go till midnight. It's great.
Yeah, it is. You're not up until 1 a.m. watching WrestleMania.
Yeah. Oh my God.
But
can't imagine that. Anyway.
So yeah, back to it. Vani was like, "Oh, that sounds like it'd be a fun thing to do tonight." And I was like, "Yeah, why not?" Because I really enjoyed Mortal Kombat 10. I never liked the series growing up. I had fun enough with 2, but when I got Mortal Kombat 9, it was a step in the right direction. And
when did 9 come out? Like 6-7 years ago?
9 was like 360 PS3, so yeah, it was probably
2010-ish, 9?
I'd say like 2009 probably.
Okay, so one comes out every 5 years about. Okay.
Yeah. And then
for years.
Mortal Kombat, I think it was like 4 years since Mortal Kombat 10. So then Mortal Kombat 10 improved a lot on it, and I played that a ton. So at this point, 11 seemed like it was going to be a solid buy.
And you're a big fan of the series. I know I slag it off unnecessarily at some point, but it's a quality series. It's not for me.
I like the modern series. The fighting's a lot better. The story. So basically, Vonnie and I played for about 3 hours last night, 2 hours last night. We streamed it. We each made sure to play each character at least once. We did all the backgrounds. Vonnie is afraid to fail at pulling off a fatality, so if she's wins...
afraid?
To fail. So if she wins, she just slaps me in the face and my guy falls over. And
she'd rather versus you just falling over.
Yeah. So she... but she is actually very good. She's finding some of her characters. But it looks like the main game itself is this is one thing I really appreciate about NetherRealm. You get a lot of games, and I like these games, don't get me wrong. Like, I like Tekken 7 a lot, and I like Street Fighter 5, well, sort of. But a lot of these games are released these days, and the focus is solely on versus mode. They're very lacking in terms of...
There's 25 characters, by the way. 2 DLC, 23 on launch, looks like.
Yeah.
Okay.
And they're going to... They'll just like Injustice and Mortal Kombat 10, they'll probably do 2 packs of 4 DLC characters. So what was I saying? Oh, so most fighting games focus on the versus aspect now. Like, one-on-one. Like when Street Fighter released, it had no arcade mode, no story mode.
We talked about that, how ridiculous it was when it released.
And I play most of my fighting games against people, but it's nice to have something. NetherRealm games go over the top. There's like a 3-hour story mode that is basically watching cinematics, and then it goes into cutscenes.
They shoehorn in fights somehow,
and you fight in there.
I watched some of the cutscenes from past Mortal Kombat games. They're ridiculous, but I guess they're entertaining.
They are. I mean, they're definitely dumb.
Yeah,
they're over the top.
And at some point, how many times can you make up a different story for a tournament fighter?
Well, hold on. Let's talk about how this one starts.
Okay, let's talk about. First of all, which one was there an official which one rebooted the story? Was that 9 or 10? Did one say this is like the official reboot?
I don't know story.
Or is it the same story they just retell over and over again?
Well, this one looks like
because no character apparently stays dead. They come back.
Yeah. So I can't remember how 10 ended and led into this, but it does seem to be somewhat of a continuation because it starts with Shinnok in chains, and Raiden has gone very dark and gritty. And
Grimdark Raiden?
Yeah, Grimdark Raiden.
Oh, I saw this when the cheeser, when he just destroys him, right?
Yeah, he destroys Shinnok, and he cuts his head off, but Shinnok can't die. So there's this head just sitting there, and it's like talking but not making any sense. And then you can't hear it. And then like as it goes on, I'm only like maybe 45 minutes in it. I can't remember exactly why, but now the head is like trapped in the middle of a medallion, and people are fighting for power. I have no idea.
The story's ridiculous.
They're-
I just think it's funny that in a game that's all about killing and violence, that the characters don't actually die.
Well,
the roster's 90% the same. So then I don't understand like how. I guess you got to you can't kill off these characters. I'm not saying you got to kill off half of them, but like a few actually die in the story, don't come back. I'm guessing maybe they have in the past, but not the main ones. Liu Kang, Raiden, Sonya, Sub-Zero, Scorpion, Baraka.
Liu Kang's just evil.
Johnny Cage isn't here. He died at the beginning of the second movie. He's still here.
I mean, the movies don't count.
I'm just saying though, like none of the deaths are actually built into the story.
No, the game is an over-the-top schlock fest. And that's another thing I've enjoyed about it. They've stopped trying to have it make sense.
They don't try to make sense anymore.
And they just have fun with it. And like I said, they've improved the fighting. So beyond the story mode.
So how's its fighting improved?
So in this one, so I'm not a fighting game expert. So if I'm wrong about certain things, it just feels better. The combos are better. Differences that I've noticed between some main differences I've noticed between 10 and 11 so far. Moves feel a bit more balanced. Uppercuts aren't as easy to spam. The reach on the uppercut feels like it's been shortened a little bit.
Sounds
this
ridiculous.
way, so they have to be closer. That was something that I don't know if that's true, but that's certainly how it felt last night.
Okay.
Also, the way they changed their meter moves seems to be a bit better.
Okay.
The power meter stuff. The fatal blow, which used to be called the X-ray, is now built up in a different way, so it doesn't use your bar. One of the problems in Mortal Kombat 10 and 9, in my opinion, was you had this bar that would fill up. That would let you do like extra special versions of special moves or counters and stuff like that. But when the bar was full, that's when you would do your X-ray move, your big like comeback move.
Okay.
So what it did was it kind of, no one ever used the other enhancements that were there in 9 and 10. A lot of people didn't bother to use things like super move bursts and stuff like that because they were saving up for this
X-ray,
this big move. So now it's separate from the other, so you can now play around with those other mechanics.
You don't want to get too fancy with your like meter moves in fighting games. I think I don't like having too many options.
This one is perfect.
Give me like two.
So
give me like 1 meter. I can use it up when it's like half or like full. Like, do we really need that many options with it?
So no, you don't. But that's why I think this works. It's one option now that's always there. Every fighting game now has some sort of comeback mid-match move.
Sure.
And then
you get like once per entire match.
And then at the bottom, a lot of so far, because I haven't looked hugely into it. Like I said, I played like 3 hours, but you can use it to enhance moves. So like if you do a down toward square, and then if you do down toward square and R1 at the same time, it charges it up and it does extra hits and things like that, which is fun. So yeah, I mean,
you like it?
Yeah, it feels good.
Smoother than 10.
Honestly, it's 10 was very close to very, very, very good.
This felt a little off.
Yeah, this is, I think, closer so far. Now, I've heard bad things about the grind. I've heard bad things about microtransactions.
Already?
Apparently, NetherRealm came out and said we are going to rebalance the unlocks, essentially, so that
too hard to get some.
Yeah.
How do you know that when the game just came out 10 hours ago? People playing in the mid hours of the morning to
and
unlock stuff?
You can do matches and look at what's available to unlock in the crypt, and that's another thing that's fun about
the crypt.
The Mortal Kombat 9 through 11 games.
Can I make a comment on the roster real quick? And I honestly didn't know that there was someone called Cassie Cage. I looked it up. I thought it was like Johnny Cage's sister. Then I looked it up. It's the daughter with Sonya. But they're still both in the game. And Cassie Cage looks as old as Sonya does. So what's going on with like this time split differential where Johnny Cage should be 60 years old if Cassie's like 30 or 25. Like, it doesn't make any sense.
Cassie's supposed to
They
be
should be
like,
retired. Sonya and Johnny Cage should be retired somewhere.
I think she's supposed to be like right around 20.
But she's like a police person, it looks like. You can't be a 20-year-old police
she's
woman.
a special forces agent.
Yeah, so that takes like 35 years to get to that. Be a special forces person, or
I
30
don't
years.
know. Not in the world of Mortal Kombat.
I mean, she looks great. I mean, she looks like her mom and her dad, I guess. But when did they have time to have sex? I thought they didn't like each other. Is that part?
I think they started boning down around 9.
Is that part of the lore? Did they have a little sneaky sex somewhere?
But
where they survive a scorpion fight. So
in 10 they were divorced, and then they got back together at the end of 10.
Are you serious?
Yes. Yeah,
there was enough time to do these tournaments and then get divorced and come back and have a kid that ages.
They started
30
off
years
divorced in 10, and I
so
think
in 9 they had the sex.
I don't know. So in 10, I can't remember all the way back to 9.
What was the conception? That's
in 10, which was the first one that introduced Cassie Cage, and Jacqueline Briggs, which is Jax's daughter.
So they all have their kids in this?
That was in... Oh, yeah, and here's the fun part. The fun part. Mom versus dad, and then you pull a fatality like on your daughter or something.
Can we leave the kids out of this? You want to make a better life. You don't want to drag your kids into Mortal Kombat tournaments. You want a better life for your kids.
Yeah.
That's what I think.
Yeah.
That's if I ever have a kid. You don't want the kid to go through this podcast. You want the kid to do a little better.
Right.
Don't have the kid fight for their lives and have their heads cut off every 3 minutes. I just thought it was strange. I was like, that's bizarre to me, where you bring your family, siblings, and into a Mortal Kombat game. It's just weird to even be put in that position, isn't it? Or maybe some female players want to be able to kill their father in the game.
That's fine.
Get out some steam.
That's fine.
Then let's have the son kill the mom. Why not?
Oh my god.
Let's keep it equal opportunity here. That's all I'm saying. All right, so that's all for Mortal Kombat.
Yeah,
real quick on the Switch version, some early whatever controversy, because apparently the Switch download is 20 gigs. So if you actually buy the physical version on the card, you get the bare bones experience, supposedly with no story or anything. It's just like you can fight one-on-one.
So if you plugged it in, if you put that cartridge in, and you turned it on without it being connected to the internet, and you played it before update,
you would get nothing. You get like what we got, like the Street Fighter game, where it's like one-on-one fights with no one.
Shit.
So that's a problem now, because if it's 20 gigs, and I heard that there could be another update coming out which adds even more already. Now this really comes into the point of,
what's the point?
What's the point of even having the physical one? But the problem is the Switch doesn't have enough on there where one game could be most of your gigabytes, your 64 gigabytes. Yeah. So you got to buy the cards. I mean, I bought a 256 gig card, I think on Prime Day last year. That was highly recommended. But even that, 256 gigs, you might have to swap that out.
Yeah.
After a year or two of having games on the Switch. So either put the games on cards that hold most of it. I'm not saying they gotta be 120 gig cards, but can you do a 16 gig card and get most of that shit on there, or a 24 gig, or a 32? Right. I don't understand what the reasoning is. I don't.
I mean, from what I understand, those size cards exist for the Switch, but it's cheaper to use the other ones.
They're just passing the pain off to the consumer, basically.
So it's cheaper.
You don't want to get in a situation where you have to have your Switch and I gotta swap the card out to play the game now, on top of having the game in. That's just be a weird spot.
This sounds more dramatic than it is, but this is how physical media will end up slipping away. It's not going to just disappear. They're going to do this, and people are going to realize there's no point in having this physical media if 20 years from now I can't plug this in and basically get the game.
Yeah, they're forcing it to be crap.
Once a physical purchase essentially just becomes a download with a box, which we've already seen and discussed on here, that's, I think, when people are going to realize, well, then I'm not going to the store. I'm going to sit in my living room and hit download.
Sure. The other thing is, I've seen people on Twitter comparing, complaining that the Switch version looks like a PS3 error. They're doing matching screenshots.
That's fine.
I think people would be happy if they had it, even though PS3 is like 12 years old. I think people would be happy saying I have a handheld version of that.
That's my take. Yes, the Switch is a dockable console. It's a home console, but it's also a portable. And I'm playing Mortal Kombat on the PS4. That's where I play my fighting games. Oh, right. I mean, It was just a generation ago. We were hoping for even a remotely decent version of various fighting games on like the 3DS or the Vita or the PSP.
Yeah.
Mortal Kombat 10 on the Vita was not fantastic either in terms of its graphic quality. But you know what? It was Mortal Kombat 10 on the go. Mortal Kombat 11. People.
As long as it plays the same, I know people are complaining that some fatalities are making it jittery and stuff. They can probably fix some of that. But if it plays the same, to me, it's like having a computer game where you just take the textures down to like low in order to be smoother.
Right. I'd rather have an arcade port that is pretty much 100% accurate, but less graphical.
Yeah.
Less faithful in the graphics department than one that looks pretty and doesn't have anything.
Or a total report where it's like a different game.
And that's what we always used to get.
Yeah.
And that's not what we have here. So, yeah, I mean, people are complaining about what they should have known all the time, all along, which is the Switch is not as powerful as a PS4 and an Xbox One, and it does what it can. And it's on, and it's also portable.
It's a little console that could, a little handheld that could. And then real quick, back in the news, and back in August, we talked about Philip Mewson, who was unceremoniously dumped from IGN for plagiarizing on, I think, 5 or 6 videos and articles for game reviews. And he came back with an apology 8 months later. And he's still been doing videos on YouTube now and then. They all get thumbed down to hell.
Right.
Because once you are a plagiarist, that's like a cheater.
Yeah.
You're kind of low. Your trust is misplaced at that point. So, I don't know. My thoughts are just, first of all, he put out an apology video. Then the same day, hours later, he put out a response to the apology.
It looked like I didn't watch that one, but that one looked like it was like an in-depth explanation as to why I'm apologizing.
It wasn't in-depth. It was just a few extra minutes.
Oh, okay.
So the question is, I guess once you're outed in the public and you're embarrassed and you're thrown away from your job, you want to apologize, but you do that right away. You don't wait 8 months later, because by now most people forgot who you are.
Right.
You're not going to get your job back anywhere. And to me, it's just sort of I don't know. I don't. You can do whatever you want, but I mean, as far as I'm concerned, once you're like this in the community, outed as a plagiarist, you're sort of persona non grata, and I wish you luck in your future endeavors, but just do something else. That's my opinion. Just go do something else.
That's kind of my thinking on it, too. His apology, as weirdly timed and as late as it is, without talking about him for a second, his apology is a template for a good apology.
Sure,
this video. He covered, he did not, he took all the blame this time.
It was funny. He laid out
laid out every single, like his infractions.
Like what was it, like Bayonetta and FIFA and a couple others. I was like, oh, okay. It's actually funny when he's listing them all.
But, he addresses each one and doesn't try to shift blame around this time. Acknowledges, how the other people might have felt. It was a good apology in theory.
But he doubled down back in August and went after Kotaku for spotlighting it, saying like, oh, they're doing this for clicks. It's like, no, we're reporting major news. This doesn't happen often where a major website has to, like if it happens with like a New York Times, it's huge news. If a reporter gets taken down for plagiarism, which happened, I think like 10 years ago, someone was disgraced, a journalist. With I think it was New York Times. So it's big news. It doesn't happen. Plus, it's like unthinkable for a lot of people that you would do that. You'd be that dishonest.
Right.
So I mean that's all. I mean his YouTube career is going to be where it is. It's not going to really. People are going to have like that weird sort of morbid curiosity, I believe, but I don't think it's going to go places now.
It's tough to gain trust back on stuff like that.
He blamed it on like I got to know over my head with this job, things like that. Well, then don't do the job. I mean that's the one thing you can say. Don't rip people off. Say you need help. I know it's tough being a journalist at IGN. You probably weren't paid that much in an entry level position. And you want to crank it out. You want to do good, but it's not for everyone. That's for sure. All right.
Kind of like tripe.
Like what?
Tripe.
Tripe?
It's not for everyone.
Do we have that Korean barbecue? Do we ever get the tripe?
I eat tripe, but I don't. I got intestine once. I didn't get tripe.
Isn't tripe intestine?
Well. Yes, it depends on what way it is. It's going to be honeycomb or...
Okay, honeycomb intestine. All right. Ian, we're the official Battle Royale podcast.
We are.
I mean, absolutely. So it's good when our pal Ninja gets voted on the Times...
Our boss, Ninja. He's our boss.
That's true.
He's our boss.
He sponsors a segment of the podcast. He got named to the Times 100 Most Influential People list, which comes out once a year. And 100's a lot to fill. I understand that. When you're the editor and you're like, we got to do 100 people. We can't have just the same people every year probably. Let's see what's out there. So I get that. I get that. So I'm picturing the Times editor saying, okay, let's think about, we got to put something with video games in, right? I'm thinking about, I'm a 65-year-old Times editor or 60 or whatever. Okay, I know that video games exist. I know they're hot. Fortnite, Ninja. Let's have him be our representative for video games and let's put him on here. That's how I picture it going. It's like, oh, people know who he is. He's popular. Let's put him on here.
I will say, I mean, just based, so before we get into the blurb that's written and some of the things that have been said, on the face of it, 100 most influential people in a year, he's had an influential year. Absolutely. An influential year. Let's make sure that's the key here. He's had a good year, okay? Because I understand it. He's in the public eye. He has had a very popular year. There's got to fill 100. They try to get stuff from every angle, every aspect. Sure. So fine, I agree with this. What I don't agree with is, and this is a thought that we've seen a little bit on Twitter and in some of these articles, people overstating his importance. The closing line to the 2-paragraph.
Do you want to just read the article? I don't understand this. This is written by Juju Smith-Schuster.
I'm just gonna quote this. At the end of the day, Ninja is an absolute legend and someone to whom we owe a lot for making gaming what it is today. Holy shit! You could eat the hyperbole with a spoon.
Let's just read that entire article, that entire paragraph.
Okay, I've been a huge video game fanatic my whole life, but people have seen it as a childish and a waste of time. Ninja is huge in building up the credibility of esports. At the end of the day, Ninja is an absolute legend and someone to whom we owe a lot for making gaming what it is today.
I have to look up the author to see how old they are, because let me just say this: we are past the point where we've probably been for like 15 years.
I would say, at least. You could stretch it and say 5. I mean, but we're
way past the point where games are seen just for children and being for nerds and geeks. Like that has not, because you know why? We're the kids that grew up with them in the 80s and 90s. We are now the adults and having kids in theory.
Yes.
So
not here.
But yeah, but you see what I mean? Like we are the ones now in positions, getting to positions of power in society and influence in pop culture. Once you reach like the 35, 40, 45-year-old mark, we are now the predominant class of people. So for us, gaming is normal. This isn't like 20 years ago when people that were 40 didn't grow up with gaming. I might have said like that's kind of where it's like a toy.
I also feel like
we are way past that point.
I also feel like
fucking way past it.
But lots of people, it's weird because people who wanted to shed that now fall back on that still being the case. It's like
you're not an oppressed class,
right?
Gamers.
Exactly. I was going to say
you're not an oppressed class.
That's where I think some of this weird, gross darkness in certain corners of gaming happen. It's because they still fall back on
this romantic feeling of we're oppressed by some.
You're not.
You're not getting a job because you're a gamer. You're not being discriminated against because you like video games.
You participate in one of the most popular hobbies. It's
the most popular form of entertainment in terms of dollars on the earth.
Yeah.
So
it beat out movies, I think, for the first time like 8 years ago.
Years ago.
Yeah.
And porn like years and years ago. Well, a lot of porn's free now.
Yeah.
But it's still a huge industry.
Well, free.
We're paying for it with our souls. I know. It's
no. Never mind.
Oh, you're going to talk about a nice subscription site? Anyway, so it's almost quaint to see this being written. Oh, this is a football player who wrote this article.
We should be paying for porn is what I'm trying to say. Anyways, continue.
This is a player for the Pittsburgh Steelers that wrote this.
Yeah.
Now I'm questioning the editorial process of this influential 100. I just don't understand it. I don't get it then. I don't understand.
Person X, can you
This is a 22-year-old football player for the Steelers, Pittsburgh Steelers, that wrote this, unless there's two Juju Smith-Schusters.
It says I play in the NFL right at the start.
Okay. I don't understand this at all then. I don't get it. So this 22-year-old, I don't picture, first of all, this guy could kill anyone. He's probably like 6'2", 230.
Yes.
Average. So I don't understand anyone calling him a nerd or geek for playing. And the Madden games in and of themselves are huge. They're huge in pop culture. They're huge in all all denominations and all swaths of people love the Madden series. The same thing with football. Football is the most popular sport. The Madden game was one of the most popular video games. So this doesn't make any sense.
FIFA is the most popular, technically. Yeah.
For the North America.
Okay,
I mean.
sure.
So I don't understand this at all. I just don't. If you want to say he's influential, fine. But he did not make gaming acceptable.
Right.
It was way before Ninja. And plus, like you said, Ninja, I only knew about Ninja. He's been around for like a year and a half in terms of popularity. Once he played with Drake and he blew up, that's the first time I ever heard of him.
I'm sure people will be like, no, he's been around forever. I don't know if that's actually true. But, I mean, Fortnite is what he made his name on. And if
Fortnite's a year and a half old.
If I'm not mistaken, Fortnite won't even be 2 until October.
Yeah, so Fortnite's not that old.
Yeah. So
I'm not poo-pooing Ninja. He's probably a nice kid, but this is just over the top.
In closing, I get it. I understand his vote. I understand him being in the 100 most influential. I don't understand this flabbergasted, like, he's changed the landscape type attitude.
It was only a year ago he played with Drake. It was March of last year, it looks like. That was it. It seemed like time kind of just like with the internet, it seems like a lot more things happen. That was it. Before that, I was like, oh, who's this person? Drake? I was like, oh. I mean, I know Drake, but he's playing with this guy named Ninja. I was like, okay. So yeah, Tyler, I'm sure you're a nice guy. You're our boss. You're our pal.
You're our boss.
Maybe we'll meet him one day. Like, yeah, I hear you guys talking smack about me being influential. No, he doesn't care. He had his picture taken, his nice headshot there, and he's fine. Smith-Schuster is a wide receiver for the Pittsburgh Steelers. I'm a fucking idiot. I didn't read the byline on the bottom. I should know that.
I was going to say, it says NFL right at the top.
But I didn't even see the byline where it says, like, who wrote this.
I thought you were just, like, looking for an age or something.
Oh, he's also the best in the world at his craft. I guess at streaming, you want to say, because of popularity, or playing video games, I guess because of streaming and entertaining.
Yeah, okay. I mean, I've never watched him, but I don't feel like that's a stretch.
He was single-handedly blending gaming and pop culture. Juju, that's a bridge too far, buddy. I know you can tackle me well. That's a bridge too far, Juju. That's all. That's all I'm saying. He's 22. He's a kid. He's a kid playing football that loves video games, which is fine. That's great.
Yeah.
Everyone's playing Fortnite. The Phillies guy. We told the story of the Phillies guy took a bat to the TV because they were playing it in the clubhouse and they were losing. And I was like, yep, there you go, you millennials. That's what you get for playing Fortnite.
All right, moving on. We've got a birthday to celebrate.
Happy birthday to Game Boy. Birthday to Game Boy.
It is the Game Boy's birthday. Happy birthday
in Japan.
Well, in like 3 months here, but it's close enough.
It was July, August in US, yeah.
So yes, the Game Boy, Nintendo's little system that came out April 21st. Was it 88 or 89?
Pat math, 89 means 30 years.
89. Yeah. Yeah.
Keep the 9.
Yeah.
Keep the 9 there.
Right. So
April you were struggling.
Woo! April 21st, 89, the Game Boy comes out. And very much this, I believe I can say, unlike, changing the way we look at gaming, this did change the landscape. I feel like the Game Boy definitely changed the landscape.
Not the first handheld, but the most important one.
The most important one.
I would say the most important handheld ever, Norm. That's what I would say. hands down, bar none.
Bar none. It was impressive at the time because it was produced by a company that people knew. It was, what?
That's impressive.
Well, it's important, I should say. It's important because it was produced by a company that people knew, and it had changeable cartridges, which was a huge thing.
Yes. Again, not the first,
right?
But,
So it was, I mean, at that point in time, most of what you could play in terms of a portable game were Tiger LCD games that were very, very rudimentary in terms of any actual gameplay, and
no one had heard of the fucking Microvision. That was a blip. That was like a year,
right? And actually, I was going to bring up Blip, but Blip is electromechanical. But portable games were electromechanical or a lot of times LED based. Yeah, they were very simple.
Then you had the fucking one that you can't find. Jesus Christ, I can't think of that one. The NTEX. The NTEX Select a game.
Yeah.
That no one had that. You can't find it. So you no one knew about that. And then you had like I just said, the other one. Microvision. No one.
So
We're talking about 8-9 years in between those and the Game Boy.
Yeah, I mean, you look at perhaps the dawn of Mattel football, which I think was like 77 or 78.
Something like that. 76, 77, they started coming out.
Yeah, and then, you finally get to the Game Boy. So, prior to the Game Boy, most easy options were, like I said, rudimentary, one game.
Game & Watches.
Tiger
LCDs, which started coming out like 86, 87,
right
around there.
I mentioned those. So, to have this come out, and it's one unit, and you can just swap the games.
And it's aligned with this company, like you said, that has these properties that can go on.
Right, you can already get, you can take Mario on the go. You're going to be able to take, Zelda on the go. So, and it comes out at a fairly reasonable price too. Especially, I mean, for the time, it was $89.99.
That's what it was. I remember that.
Yeah, it was $89.99 at launch.
Let's do some pat math to see what that is.
And I remember that clearly today because the Game Boy was the first system. Did I get that before the Genesis or after? My brother and I raked leaves and we got the Game Boy and then we tried to share it, which of course was...
Were they under the leaves, the Game Boy? What do you mean?
Yeah, we raked leaves to earn money.
Okay.
From our landlord. The landlord was putting children to work for him. Yes. What?
$1989.
Yeah.
In today is, geez, I don't want it in rupee or yen. I want it in USD. Where is it? Where's dollar to dollar?
Can you get Zenny?
What the hell is going on here? Go on. I thought I had it. I don't.
Yeah. Anyway, the genius of the Game Boy here, and in terms of just how it gained in popularity, was packing it with Tetris.
Absolutely.
Tetris had by that point become it was becoming a very big game. There was lots of like shareware and freeware versions.
It was packed in on Windows 3.1.
There was a lot of freeware and shareware versions packed, done that were free for old computers. You could play it on the early IBMs, stuff like that. And getting a portable official version out there got so many people hooked. And the interesting thing about the Game Boy was if you wanted to get people hooked on Tetris, instead of showing it to them on a screen, here, play it. And then you don't get your Game Boy
Hear that little
back.
chime when you put on?
Yeah.
Bleep, and you go.
So that really helped sell it in the U.S. I'm not any sort of Game Boy historian, but it is probably my favorite system, second to the PC Engine, and it's one of the only systems I still buy stuff for today.
So $90 it was, $89.99.
Yeah.
That's $184 today. So that's pricey.
Oh, it is.
That's why I didn't have it, because you know why? That's what it. I think an NES console set just for the console cost about that by that point in time. So Pat didn't have one. All my friends did. Not bitter about it. I understand. I don't think my parents wanted to face another console with having cartridges.
Sure. Well,
because the games were cheaper, but they weren't dirt cheap.
That's why when I was young,
What were the games, like $20 to $30?
I think they were 20 to 30. I think they were 30, $29.99. But when my brother and I, that's why when my brother and I were growing up, we didn't have many games for the Game Boy. I think we had like 4 or 5, and it was because...
And Tiger LCDs were like 15 to 20,
yes.
Something like that.
Yeah. We didn't have many games because we bought that with money that we went and earned by raking leaves, and my parents didn't want anything to do with it.
Sure.
They were already buying games for the Nintendo. They were still playing the Nintendo. They loved it. I remember they were like, oh, the screen is small and it looks awful.
Yeah.
They didn't want to get invested in that.
They probably don't understand that buying Pat the $15 Double Dragon Tiger LCD is not the same experience as playing Super Mario Land. It's like entirely different. Yes. They probably didn't get that.
No, and I don't think my parents necessarily did either.
Damn it, parents, you didn't get that?
Fine. But yeah, so the longevity of the Game Boy is pretty impressive. It also depends on how you want to look at it. But technically, the Game Boy ran from 1989 to 2003. That covers everything with the Game Boy name.
So the Game Boy Color was obviously by then...
Game Boy Color, Game Boy Advance, Game Boy Advance SP. And I understand why it's all considered the same line, because
you consider Advance part of the line. Just
all the way up to SP, I do because
you can play them
because it'll play everything.
I'm just talking about when did they stop producing the games for them?
I don't know. It says discontinued 2003, so I'm not sure.
But that would be probably the Game Boy Colors and Pockets at that point. Well, the Colors.
Well, and advances. So you mean actual black and white? I don't think there's a real easy way to determine that because they just keep going because there was that transition period too.
The color.
They went from black and white gray cartridges to black cartridges that work on both.
Yes.
And then the
color
clear.
didn't work.
So yeah, I mean, I don't think there was any official just chop up.
So this discontinued. That has to be for the Game Boy Color.
No, that would be for the Game Boy Advance.
Like this discontinued in 2003.
I say, oh, maybe
Are
that's
you sure?
Maybe that's just Game Boy Color. You're right.
Yeah. I was saying,
sorry, Game Boy Color.
Yeah, so that's 14 years. If you want to call them brother, sister handhelds, I will follow along that line because the technology jump up wasn't that much of anything. It was just color.
Yeah. No. Yeah. So you're right. We're not talking advanced.
So it's a 14-year run. We'll just say.
Impressive.
That's gigantic.
That's nuts. Gigantic nuts.
The library in North America is over 1,000 games
for color and black and white.
You combine it so much so that if I do a certain Game Boy guidebook, I'm not sure I'm going to do it. It's a lot of games.
Yeah,
a lot of games. Now, yeah, there were a lot of utility programs and things of that nature, translators and things, and Bibles and.
I wouldn't say a lot, calendars. But there were. There was. I mean, it was so popular.
It was seen as something adults like. They would say like a businessman playing on the subway. They're playing Tetris and things like that.
I remember clearly seeing older people playing them like when waiting for a doctor's office visit once. I remember they
weren't nerds, those businessmen playing those games.
I remember an older person who didn't look like at that time they played any video games or anything, sitting there in the waiting room playing Tetris, and I'm sitting there with my mom and I'm sick as hell, and they're like, "Hey, do you want to play Tetris?" And I'm like, "Sure, let's play Tetris." So they were.
So Nintendo was smart. They knew that this could appeal to adults first and foremost.
Well, I think that's another reason why the Tetris inclusion is so perfect because it's not age gated. Anyone loves it. 9 to 99 will love to play Tetris.
Sure. And then you got the little link cable to link up with the second player. There's eventually the 4-player one, which didn't work on a huge amount of games, did it? Can you name me the launch titles in North America, Ian, on the Game Boy? I know.
Actually, no, I probably can't.
I know 3 that I'm sure of. Looking at this list, obviously, I would have known Tetris. I would have known baseball. I would have known Alleyway. I would not have known tennis. And Super Mario Land, I'm surprised that was a launch title.
Yeah, I actually didn't know that was a launch title, but I would have guessed most of those.
I always knew Alleyway in my head and baseball, for sure.
Yeah, Alleyway and baseball.
Because you know why? That's what Kevin had. Kevin had baseball at son of a bitch. He had Alleyway.
You know what? Kevin never had a Game Boy when I was growing up. It was one thing I had on Kevin.
Well, he had over his stupid freckled face.
Oh, what did he have? Freckles? Yeah, he did at some point.
Kevin did.
Light ones.
Blonde hair, freckles.
Fucking shitty person.
Yeah.
All right, anyways. So
dumb Yankees cap. What?
Game Boy, happy 30th birthday.
Like the Bulls just because they were popular. Not the Knicks. Come on, you're in Jersey.
Oh, my Kevin used to... My Kevin...
front runner. I hate front runners, Ian. Nothing I hate worse than a front runner. My
Kevin was always a big Orlando Magic fan and had to have those fucking starter jackets.
They're started.
Had to have
1993
starter jackets. The most popular shit.
You know how much they cost back then? Like $120.
So much money.
The puffy starter jackets. I did have one.
Especially the pullover ones.
I did have one. I think I had one. I had a Giants one, I believe.
I had a Toronto Raptors zip up.
Oh, you like the Raptors?
I like basketball.
They're doing good. The Raptors.
Raptors were a call for me.
Claw.
Raptors and Pistons. But so I remember he had one. He was one of those kids where like he had that jacket, and his mom was like, "This is expensive," and his dad's like, "It's very pricey. You must take care of this." And then like a week later, we were at the mall, and he took it off to play Mortal Kombat 2 or 3 or something, and he left it there, and whined and cried and argued with his mom about it the entire way home because she picked us up from the mall, and she was like, "You're not getting another one."
Why didn't you just go back and get it?
Oh, I think it was like I think he did, and it was gone. Yeah, that's exactly.
That's what you get, Kevin. You snot-nosed brat.
So she yells at him about it. And then the next day, he walks into school with a brand new one.
What an asshole. This sounds like my Kevin a little bit. Front runner. Fucking like. How do you like the Bulls, Kevin? Starks, Ewing, Oakley, Mason. Come on, buddy. Front runner. God, it pisses me off. Then, I'm a Bull. Yeah, it's so hard to be a Bulls fan in the 90s.
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
Tough choice you made there.
Tough choice.
It's like being a fucking Duke fan.
I like the best team with the best player in the world. Fucking idiot. Sorry.
Well, I got the most probability of seeing a winning game if I go Duke, so I guess I'll go Duke.
Yeah, okay.
Go Duke.
America's team, Cowboys, eat me. Sorry, okay, Game Boy. Congrats. We're 30th anniversary.
It's over.
By the way, real quick, it's not over yet because we always forget that Plucky Turbo Express came out before the Game Boy did.
And I want to, before I forget,
Don't you forget that.
Hold on. Give me a second
Or PC Engine or whatever, PC Engine GT. Whatever.
Check out Yokoi Kids on Twitter, please.
Why?
Because
Is there a Game Boy thing?
That's my Game Boy thing.
Well, then let the audience know.
That's what I'm about to say.
I'll allow the plug.
You said why before I could even get there.
Well, let's plug your little project. Let's do it.
It's not a little project. It's fun. Don't be so, what's the word I'm looking for?
Condescending?
Conda-fucking-sending. Conda-fucking-sending is the word I'm looking for. Go to Yokoi Kids, at YOKOI Kids, and join our fun club today.
It's a Game Boy club.
It's a Game
Boy
Boy
club. One game a month.
And then we write about it.
They write about it?
Well, we don't even necessarily write about it. You can, like, submit art or a mini game.
It's just it's like a Game Boy fetish club.
We've had people who write songs about the game of the month.
Okay.
We've had people who
do you
have
stream?
Not on Game Boy.
Any
no.
YouTube?
No.
YouTube stuff?
Well, there's some videos
You can
like
stream
like
Game Boy.
like Eric from Retail Archaeology has done videos. Drink a beer and play
See,
a game.
look at me helping Ian. Okay.
I mean, you're not. How are you helping me?
Because I'm actually letting people know what the fuck this is. I'm actually trying to get you to explain it to people. So it's a community effort to focus on the Game Boy.
It's just a community creative space.
Give me a couple examples of some games you covered, Ian.
We've done, well, this month is actually Burger Time Deluxe. We've done Super Mario Land, of course.
Okay.
We did Speedy Gonzales, which was awful.
Did you Quirk?
We did Quirk. That was my first choice, actually, was Quirk.
Well, look at Pat knows that.
Quirk is fantastic. So we did Quirk. We did Bomberman.
Okay.
Let's see, what else have we done? Jesus, we've done a lot. We did Gremlins 2 for Halloween.
Uh-huh.
We need to start picking some games that are a little bit more impressive overall.
Sure.
But
all right.
Yeah, so we've done a lot. So yeah, if you enjoy the Game Boy, come hang out with us.
Come hang out.
All right, what's next?
You're welcome.
Thank you.
World's rarest video game. Extraterrestrials for the Atari 2600. Long lost, a holy grail. It's on eBay right now. I had heard of this game before. I think we might have talked about this a couple years ago.
Oh, we did. This one, yeah, absolutely. This label, we talked about this.
So here's the deal, people. We was talking about these games that came out on the 2600 were basically borderline made in your basement games like Gamma Attack, where
possibly unplayable.
They're playable. They function, or Red Sea Crossing, where you're Noah trying to get across. Where, and I say this, it's not hyperbole, how there's no collector that has a complete 2600 game set that I know of.
I would, that I know of. I would find it to be something that's very hard.
That's what I've been told too by Atari collectors, that they don't know anyone.
Right.
Because when you look at the extremely rare, like 10 out of 10 games, there's a couple dozen almost that exist.
Yeah.
When you look up, you can go to Atari Age, our favorite website. You look on a site like that, and you just take a look at, let's look at the rarest games. 23 that are 10 out of 10. Air Raid, we know about Air Raid with the blue handle. A game called Alien, Asterix, never heard of it. Atlantis 2, which was the Mailway Prize contest one. A game called Beanie Bobber. Birthday Mania, that was like something that was like a local thing, I think. Something called BMX Airmaster, and more and more. Demon Attack, Eli's Ladder, Gamma Attack. A game called Gauntlet, probably not our Gauntlet. It's not. It's one I think with like you have to get through an obstacle thing on a single screen. Exactly. Pepsi Invaders, a giveaway. Like commission. Video Life, Music Machine. I've seen a couple of these in person. I ain't seen most of these.
Yeah, I saw a Red Sea Crossing, not like out in the wild, but I think
that's not even on this list for a 10, by the way, and even that's hard to find.
I think someone had one of those at a convention.
So here's the point. The point is that a lot of these games were produced in such small quantities, maybe 100, couple hundred, and then they sold them. These weren't in retail stores. A lot of these, they sold them out of magazines, or they advertised them locally.
Oh, and so many of these were probably like just hand manufactured, like literally put together by hand,
by a team of 1 or 2 people,
possibly put together to order. I mean, that's possible, and then if no one notices your fly-by-night game.
Yeah. So the Gamma Attack thing was such a weird thing, because when they found that one, I think it was in Jersey, they found a copy of it. The author was like, "Oh yeah, I still have a few of the stickers that I never put on the game."
Yeah. And
he might have I think he had pieces of a few left that he didn't put together that I think he might have sold. So it's like this is what we're talking about here. This is why it's so insane. So I don't know a lot about this game. I'm not going to pretend to be an Atari expert like someone from Storage Wars. I'm not going to pretend that.
Oh.
So when I see this stuff, to me, this is fun because I'm learning about something I don't know about. That's why I like to see it. So this game, it's just funny because obviously they're ripping off ET when you look at it, right? Yeah. It just looks, I don't even know what the gameplay looks like, but that's not what people are interested in. They just want, a rare game. And this could be a game where, if you look at the description of this, you like the label, by the way? I think that's adorable.
Yeah, it's a weird label.
So when you look at it, for more images, it's on YouTube. You can watch it on YouTube. One of a kind, 100% original, authentic Atari 2600 game called Extra Space Terrestrials. The first time that this game has ever been listed publicly for sale to the world. Okay. And I'm currently the only confirmed private owner of this game. The only other discovered copies are held in a Canadian museum. So this is a Canadian game when you read further. First discovered in 2012. Produced in 1984. This was lost.
Yeah.
Herman Quast, the original creator, claimed that the production was extremely limited and only about 100 or so were ever printed. I'm shocked it's that many. I'm shocked that they probably produced enough cartridges for that many.
How many? 100?
100.
That's even more than I would have thought.
It was a company in Burlington, Ontario called Skill Screen Games. 3 family members, along with the programmer, patented and invested their time and money into the game. That's interesting. It's probably like, Atari's hot, even though 84 was dying out.
Yeah.
Let's make a game. Let's develop a game. Targeted Christmas of 83. Production was delayed due to technical issues, and the team lost the opportunity to make sales for Christmas. But yada, yada, yada. It's a lot of interesting information here. Sid Bolton, who passed away, owner of the PC Museum, stated that it was the only commercially produced Canadian Atari 2600 game. So this is, I guess, it looks like a level above a guy in a basement, but not that far out,
right?
When it's a family putting it together.
Sure.
So this is extremely interesting to me. So they're asking $90,000 or best offer. That's going to be a hard sell, obviously.
Yes.
I can picture a game like this knowing that the hardcore Atari collectors, they'll drop 5 figures on this. They'll drop 10,000 potentially if there's only a handful of these remaining. When you think about 100, how many were thrown out? How many were actually sold that still exist? Right. There's got to be other copies out there. It's just probably not more than like whatever you want to say 10, 20 of these things. Like how many could still be out there?
Yeah.
Think about if half of the gold NWC still exist. I'm not saying half of these necessarily exist, but there's got to be some out there.
I think them putting it up at 90,000 is also to be like, hey, if you want to buy this from me at 90,000, great. But I have a feeling I have a feeling partially this is to see what gets offered.
Absolutely.
To try to determine what people might think it's actually worth in the modern age.
They know that graded Super Mario Brothers first edition just went for $100K in the sale. These people know that. I'm not even faulting them putting up for this much. I'm just saying that.
No, I said, I don't think it's something they actually think they're going to get. I think it's just to generate offers and see what's out there.
I think the most expensive Atari game sale that I know of was that boxed area that went for like 20. I want to say 25. I think it was 27.
Yeah, that sounds about right.
And there's only like 2 or 3 boxes, and only one has the manual. And I saw it in person. I saw it at the SoCal meetup. It was like 5-6 years ago already. Holy crap! Where I did see it after he bought it, and it was funny because the buyer, he just spent like 20 grand on it or whatever it was, didn't have it in any protection. It just had. I was like, dude, listen, there's a company that makes these protectors for you, even the soft ones. I said, like, you got to at least get a soft one, if not the hard one. He just had it out. I looked at it. I was like, okay,
wow,
cool, that's
neat.
So this is why it's so fascinating to me that there's still these games out there. And this one, I heard of this game. I think we discussed it.
We did. I know the label. We definitely talked about it.
There's other ones I hadn't heard of yet, and there's ones that we will never see most of these games in person.
Yep.
You won't see them at a convention. They'll be in some private collection or in a museum somewhere. So, all right, Ian. Robinhood is an investing app that lets you buy and sell stocks, ETFs, options, and cryptos, all commission-free. While other brokerages charge up to $10 for every trade. I've seen it myself. Robinhood doesn't charge any commission fees, so you can trade stocks and keep all of your profits. Plus, there is no account minimum. No account minimum deposit needed to get started, so you can start investing at any level you wish.
The simple, intuitive design of Robinhood makes investing easy for newcomers and experts alike. View easy-to-understand charts and market data, and place a trade in just 4 taps on your smartphone. You can also view stock collections, such as 100 most popular, and more.
With Robinhood, you can learn how to invest in the market as you build your portfolio, discover new stocks, track your favorite companies, and get custom notifications for price movements so you never miss the right moment to invest. Robinhood is giving our listeners of the Completely Unnecessary Podcast a free stock like Apple, Ford, or Sprint to help you build your portfolio. Sign up at cupodcast.robinhood.com. We're proud to partner with Flex Pro Meals. They're a meal delivery company that sends healthy pre-made meals to your doorstep. Their goal isn't to give you salad, but epic recipes, entrees you may have grown up on, that they make healthier versions of. Eating healthy is a lifestyle change, not a 2-week gimmick. So it's their responsibility to go the extra mile, giving us the most value with realistic meal options at a good price.
Flex Pro Meals offers a weight loss fat trimmer plan for about $8.50 a meal and a lean muscle larger portion plan for about $11 a meal. Some of our most popular meal entries are smoked brisket, mac, breakfast burrito, chicken Alfredo, and frankly, they just added beef stroganoff.
They did. I had it.
That's
good. Pretty tasty.
Beef stroganoff. They also
melts in your mouth. The beef.
The beef is tender.
They changed up the recipes.
Dumplings.
I did not try the dumplings yet.
Dumplings are good.
Not I'm on intermittent fasting, so this is not good to mention.
Right.
These are yummy meals. The brisket mac is delicious. And yes, they have the smaller meal portions, or if you want to go large like me, you get the bigger ones as well. My mouth is watering on the mic. Or if you want just if you want to go straight steak and veggies, you want to go straight chicken and sweet potatoes. You want to trim down. I got to trim down. I'm gonna be fighting someone soon. No. Anyway, so they also have an app where you can track what you eat and keep track of it. So for 20% off your first order, 20% off, use code CUPodcast when you visit flexpromeals.com. Me and Ian love them. Again, 20% off with code CUPodcast at flexpromeals.com. Moving on to a lot of prototypes in the news lately.
Yeah.
Preservationists and prototypes. It's fun. 2 different prototypes. These are more like, we'll say, demos. They aren't completed games that we know of. Have come to light. The first is good old Evan from SNES Central, who's writing for a certain Super Nintendo guidebook, a nice unreleased game section. Superman by Sunsoft was according to this, was planning to make a Superman game for early in the life of the Super Nintendo. A short demo was dumped in early 2019. Ultimately, the game was canceled. This was made available from Nostalgia Alley and the Video Game History Foundation. Our pals there made the dump.
Of course.
So there's some gameplay online. Gameplay. It's really Superman flying.
Yeah.
In like a cave cavern. That's really what all it is when you look at it.
And then there's some screenshots showing like ground combat. Ground, like he's walking on the ground.
A video?
No, just like screenshots.
Oh, I'm just looking at the press coverage shot. You looking at something else?
No, I'm pretty sure it was right. There's flying, down further. Oh, okay. So yeah, there's a shot of him standing, getting ready to punch someone. If you go down to press coverage.
Yeah, that's from Nintendo. I remember seeing that in Nintendo Power. I think I was still, by that point, I still had Nintendo Power in 93. That was like on the cusp of when I think like Star Fox. And then, like, right after Star Fox, a few months later, I got rid of it. So I remember seeing that at the time. Because that looks like, that green guy looks like, is that just a thug? Or is that what Brainiac? Is Brainiac green?
Brainiac, I believe, was supposed to be in the game.
Yeah, okay.
Frozen edition to Brainiac.
But
I have no idea.
So this could be, there could be more out there, lost. With more material that we don't know
this
about.
is just the one dump that we know of. But it really dates the article though when it starts off with, for a guy who's dead, DC Comics superhero.
That was 93, right?
Superman,
92,
yep.
92 or 93 Superman died, wasn't it? Yeah.
Yep, right around there.
Oh yeah, they came out with the death and return of Superman.
Uh-huh.
And that was, I think, 94. About.
I wonder if that's why it got
shuffled. Because, well, he died, so we have a game coming out.
Right, yeah, it's possible.
So let's, or sometimes you about face. Death and Return of Superman, what was the release date of the Super Nintendo game? I don't have the book completed yet. It was 94.
Okay.
And that was also Sunsoft. Sunsoft and our pals at Blizzard worked on that.
Really? I knew it was Sunsoft. I had no idea about
Blizzard.
So
to me, this is just probably a case of them saying, well, we got to change up the game.
Yeah.
So to me, then, it looks like there probably wouldn't be a finished version of this because they probably figured,
that's what I'm thinking too. Because there's another one that comes out by them just after. It's probably not. I mean, yeah, that's probably not unfinished.
Yeah.
Now this Tom and Jerry one is the one that upsets me a little bit more. I wish I had seen a little bit more of this.
Upset?
Huh?
You're upset?
Well, I love Tom and Jerry.
Who doesn't?
The original stuff. So from what this one says, it is different than the other Tom and Jerry games that were released, in that this one was going to try and capture the spirit of the cartoons a bit more. It was going to have you controlling Jerry running from what is a very large, fairly nice looking Tom sprite.
If you want to say it's like as authentic as like the Roadrunner SNES game, like trying to really capture the real cartoon look,
right?
How they're drawn. And
apparently you can like you can jump over Tom at certain points, and you can throw him around the room. And so it sounds like it might have been pretty interesting to play.
There's a few minutes on YouTube. You can watch it.
There was it was, who was supposed to do it though? High Tech Creations, I think, was who was supposed to be behind it. Let me see.
The animation's great. I'm looking at the YouTube video on this.
Yeah, it's High Tech.
So you're Jerry. You're running around. You're trying to escape. This is like a tech demo. It looks like.
Right.
You have a life meter, and you get caught. I think it's you.
It is.
Interesting. So there's like a mouse trap there. You can move like vases, and you're just trying. Yeah, this is just like a proof of concept, but it's animated well. It looks cute.
Oh yeah, Tom definitely looks pretty good there. So I think this would have been fun to see, because we never really got a Tom and Jerry game that felt like Tom and Jerry.
They felt like you're Jerry. You're like throwing balls at little
marbles.
Guys.
You're throwing marbles at spiders. That game was always such a disappointment to me.
I had that on the PC.
Up, because it's a nice looking game. Like it looks.
That was high tech as well.
It looks pretty nice, but it did not play very well.
Yeah, like a boss battle's like throwing him at like his face.
Jerry's
face. Like that's not capturing the spirit of the
Tom's
cartoon.
face.
Yeah, Tom's face. What'd I say?
Jerry's face.
Jerry
ain't throwing marbles at himself.
Gotcha. So that's interesting. Hopefully they find one that's a little more finished.
Because I will play the heck out of that.
There's an article on RetroCollect. The Chases on it was a more ambitious effort to capture the essence of the cartoon in game form. So there you have it. So, or is there one that's more finished that's online, or is this also the demo that I'm seeing on here?
I think that's just it.
Oh no,
There's more?
This one looks a little bit different. I'm trying to see the boot up screen. I'm looking at someone playing it on a TV. That's the video. There's another video.
That's what I was looking at.
Oh, you're looking at that? I was looking at the other one. Okay.
No, I was looking at the one of them on the TV.
Okay,
because tiny TV.
It's the same one. So this was unreleased. This was 4 years ago. This video. So then they finally released it.
Oh, got it. Okay.
Gotcha. Okay.
Well, good on them. It got released. Speaking of preservation.
Ian.
And various preservationists. Our friend Patrick Scott Patterson had a rebuttal to the people who dare think that maybe he wasn't acting
on the up and up in the best interests.
In the best interests of video gamers
and preservation
at all. Yes, there was a response, a statement, a rebuttal.
I think it's only fair that we give him his time on the show by going to videogamepreservation.com, by the way.
Yes.
Where
you can preserve games.
So Ian, you want to start it?
Odds are high at least some of you have come here in the wake of recent controversies. You can take the quotes off, asshole. Related to this project, please read on for the only public statement I'll be making on the matter. Archive Alley is a play on Arcade Alley, okay?
So this is his new venture, I guess?
No, Archive
Alley?
No, that's an old one.
Okay.
It was what he just put on hiatus.
Okay.
And Arcade Alley, I believe, was the previous. Anyways. Archive Alley is a play on Arcade Alley, the famous column that spawned Okay, that's what it is. That spawned Electronics Game Monthly magazine in the early 1980s. For decades, I was already collecting any old media I could find relating to video gaming in the early days. Dissatisfied with the practice of sites like Wikipedia and the misinformation they allow to remain published, I officially made this into a full-on project many years back. In 2017, I attempted to expand into the recovery of other kinds of video game artifacts, mostly due to happenstance. So you didn't have any interest in... Okay. It made sense at the time, and the change was made from Archive Alley to video game preservation. That's what it was.
Okay.
That's the changeover, sorry. Unfortunately, this attempted expansion proved to be overwhelming. I'm trying not to say mean things. It caused this project to stagnate and stray too far from its originally intended purpose. which was what, to get stuff and pretend you were preserving it. Several weeks ago, the decision was made to go back to square one and bring back our efforts to carve out just this one particular niche in the video game world rather than trying to be everything. To it. To start this off, we placed 43 items into liquidation. Just say you sold them.
Liquidation? I don't think you know what liquidation means.
Well,
Sorry,
that
go on.
either, yeah. For the record, this made up just over 1% of the total number of items in the archive. That doesn't change anything. Who cares? Most of the items posted for sale were purchased by us to start. Most of the items posted for sale were purchased by us to start, and in italics and bold here. And any money raised by the sales of those items has been earmarked to go back into the project. Oh, really? Please note that the italicized portion of the last paragraph. This was clearly publicly stated, not only in a statement on this website, but also within the listings for selected items. Liquidated. However, it clearly seems that this pretty important piece of information was left out by the professional YouTubers and bloggers who are more interested in gaining monetized traffic for themselves over factual reporting.
Okay, stop.
I gotta say one thing, because I'm just so angry right here.
Stop.
It doesn't matter if the sales went back into an earmarked project that no one knows if it's actually going to come off the ground, and that doesn't excuse you for calling yourself a game preservationist and selling undumped prototypes.
Well, that's a lot. You give him a lot of credit. How do we know the money's going to go back into this mystery project?
I said that might go, might happen in the future.
Why are we taking someone's word for it that already went back on their word of being a video game preservationist in the first place?
Yeah, there's no reason.
Where has trust been curried within the community to trust that that's it? Why do you think we ignored that? Because we could just say that's utter crap until we see evidence that that's truthful.
Yeah.
Unless you built up a cachet in the retro gaming community and have shown to be a trustworthy individual, I will take you at your word at that point. But to this point, Mr. Patterson has not.
No, there's been
and
no
this
reason
is
to
clear
believe him.
evidence that he has not.
Zero reason to believe him.
So it's all fine and dandy to say, well, that money's going back into this project. What has the project produced to this point of worth or value that I never heard about the project before these games were put up for sale?
I mean, you could have done something good, with your project by dumping the ROMs.
What is at videogamepreservation.com? What is there besides this statement? What is here, Ian? I'm looking.
Nothing.
If I'm ignorant, call me out on it. I don't see anything.
Well, I mean, maybe he took some of that off of it. I have no idea. But all we see now is videogamepreservation.com.
Okay,
statement. It's a statement.
A research library for the history of video games and their culture.
Where
is this? I'm touching it on my screen. I don't see this. Where are the documents? Where are the pictures on the website? Where is the information?
I'll qualify that statement by noting that not one single phone call or email was received from those professionals, quote, prior to their assumptive conclusions and rush to impress strangers online through cynicism and defamation. They were in no way interested in seeking clarification, additional information, or another side of the story because that's not what draws their attention to content. No, the reason we didn't bother is because you sold undumped prototypes while calling yourself a preservationist. Let me finish.
Okay.
There's no reason to contact you. What am I going to do? Call you up and be like, that was a shitty thing to do? I don't want to hear your reason for it. You had 3 years to do it.
Wait a minute. So this is a pretty big accusation to say that he's calling out us first and foremost because the video was seen by a lot of people. We defamed someone by saying that you did not dump a ROM for a game that was donated to you? That's defamation?
But we don't know if it was actually donated. Remember that.
Okay. We even said we're not sure.
Yes.
But even so, there's no defamation there. We did not defame you if we spoke the truth of the situation to the best of our ability. That's not defamation of character.
Using facts like you selling ROMs or you selling prototypes that you had not dumped,
and disagreeing with it?
I don't know why a conversation would change that. In disagreeing with it, I'm sorry that these facts are uncomfortable to you, but it's not defamation.
It's not defamation of character. That's like saying if we thought someone, hit a kitten in the street and kept going on, if we called out that person, we think it's shitty you did that. That's not defamation of character. That's our opinion on your actions as an individual.
You did something stupid. You're not going to.
You got called out for it, and here's
now you don't want to deal with getting called out.
And here's the problem now though, is that Mr. Patterson wasn't on our radar before.
No.
I let him do his own thing on Twitter, where he has lots of followers somehow. I don't know how he got all those followers, I'll just say, but there's a way you can get a bunch of followers. But anyway, that's not the issue. The issue is this. The issue is that when this video came out, maybe Ian had people get in touch with him. I had several individuals get in touch with me saying, thank you for doing this video. This person, these are their words, not mine. This person has been bad for our community, and here are the reasons why. And gave me things that, controversially or not, this individual, Mr. Patterson, has been connected to in the past. Things with Twin Galaxies, and just shady things from the 90s and things like that I'm not even going to bring up. But those are things that people have communicating to me. So there could be a track record here that I don't know about, but now people are telling me about.
Yeah. All right. So, ironically, that sort of thing is what Archive Alley is aiming to snuff out in the first place. Is it? I thought it was just you getting stuff. Video gaming has become a monster industry, not only in sales, but within its competitive ranks, licensing, and events. The only thing that has continued to lack in professionalism and production quality is the content created about it all. Just let me finish the paragraph. Attention seekers aside, however, it's recognized on this end that a major reason for it is the lack of reliable and accurate reference material for content creators to use.
That's awesome, Mr. Patterson. What reference materials have you created for the community that I don't know? I don't know about these magical reference materials.
Yeah.
YouTube videos of you playing prototypes on a screen? Is that the reference materials that I'm supposed to know about? Is there anything else? Is there any other reference materials in your career that you could tell me about that I am missing out on? Because if I don't know, I'll admit if I was wrong. If I don't know about this stuff, I have no idea. But this is what I do know, Ian. One of the people that speaking of production quality, did you know there was a Kickstarter by Mr. Patterson for a video game culture series a few years back?
No.
There was, Ian.
Oh.
And he raised some money. He raised $1,700, not a huge amount, but he promised, I believe it looks like 6 episodes. 6 episodes of production. A few went on YouTube, and then from what people were telling me, he didn't produce the last 3 from the Kickstarter, and instead it was because there would be a conflict of interest because he's shopping them around to networks that were interested in the show. So he did a Kickstarter and didn't fulfill it. And I watched the videos, and you know what? The production quality wasn't that grand in the videos. And that's my opinion. That's not defamation. My opinion as a professional YouTuber is that those videos were trash. So this is what I'm going to say. You have a track record in front of me that people brought to my attention of misleading people potentially and doing things that others find a little shady. So why would I trust you? Why?
You're not running away from toxicity, or at least not toxicity in the traditional sense. You're running away from problems you created. Don't feel bad for it. Just
I'm not going to be called out for defamation of character when I'm pointing out things that you have done that 99% of people in the community would say that's bad.
Anyway,
sorry I got to this point. I'm agitated today, and this isn't helping.
No,
I didn't know he put defamation in there. I did not know he'd put that in there. That set me off. I'm sorry.
Wow,
that set me off, Ian.
Anyway,
best of luck with your video game preservation. Whatever. Let me know how that money is spent. I really like to see the receipts of how that money goes back into your project. Let me know. Let me know how that goes.
All right. You know, I don't care about the China game ban. We're going to go right into Tales from the Game Store.
Okay, a little more, something uplifting.
I guess. China banned some stuff. Basically, I mean, one of the things that's important is you can't have mahjong games in China anymore.
You sure you don't want to do that?
I'm positive.
Okay.
All right. So let me just... So, Saturday was a very fun day. Oh, are we going to do an intro for Tales of the Game Store?
We did, Ian. Yes, we cut in. They just saw it. They just saw the intro.
Oh,
Go.
All right. All right, so my Saturday starts off. Lane and I are sitting around, and guy comes in, and just the way he's walking in with this big box, and he puts it down. He's like, "Hey, I was just down at the loan center." He said something weird. It was like, I don't know, the savings and loan center. He was trying to get rid of some stuff, like a rent. Can you sell stuff to a rent-a-center?
I guess.
Maybe that's what it was.
They rent stuff out. They'll buy it.
So he comes in, and Lane gets up to help him, and he's like, "Yeah, this is the system is just good. It's good, ready to go." It was dirty as hell, so she sets it up and she starts to test it, and it doesn't work at all. And so he pulls the choosy beggar statement. It's my birthday. Can you please buy it from me because it's my birthday? And Lane's like, "No, man, I'm sorry, we can't. We can't do that. It's a broken system." And he's
Well, what type of system was it?
an Xbox 360.
Okay.
Yeah, it's an Xbox 360.
Recurring theme.
Yeah. So he just stands there, and this is just the start of the day. So he's begging, and he's like, "Oh, but you could use it for parts." And she's like, "No, we don't really use it for parts." And he literally says, "Well, they break down all the time. There's got to be something in here that you can use." And it's like, dude, 100% you just explained why we don't want to buy your system, because they break all the time. And he's like, and then he goes as far as to be like, "Not even for the casing?" And I'm like, no, not for the casing. And he just like,
Can you mine the gold from the chips? I mean, copper?
He just stands there and he paces a little bit, and he kind of gets like an aw shucks and like picks the box up. And and then he asks us, before he picks the box up and leaves, which had some other like miscellaneous cords and stuff in it. Okay. He's like, "Well, can you guys throw it out for me?" And usually I will take people's recycling, like electronics recycling. Sure. Like if someone comes into the store and they're bringing me 3 systems and a box of games, if something doesn't work, I'm like, "Hey, do you want me to put this in recycling for you?" So you don't have to
goes
take
to
it
a
back.
center, they process it.
And they take
Sometimes
care
they
of it.
resell stuff if they can.
Yeah. So that's what we do. If it doesn't work, we'll either recycle it for them, because a lot of people don't want to take it home, and I'd rather not see it in the trash. However, when you come in and try to sell me a bunch of broken, not a bunch, when you try to sell me a broken console, and then you try to get money out of us anyways because you just won some for your birthday, and then you ask me to throw out your trash, no, you're going back home with that system. And he did.
Oh, shucks.
Oh, shucks. So,
first of all, I actually think it was his birthday, or was that bullshit?
Oh, it was bullshit.
He pulled a PSP on this? For that?
yes,
pulled
exactly.
a PSP.
It's like I've talked to John Riggs about it and a couple other people. I think it's a thing kind of known as like a choosy beggar.
I would have asked for his ID. All right, your birthday? Here's the deal. I'll give you $10 if it's actually your birthday. If not, you owe me $10.
Or you can just walk away.
That's what I'm saying. Next time you should do that.
Shamed. So about 45 minutes later, I'd say, these 2 dudes walk in.
Is this a medley?
This is
Tales
This
medley?
is the Mega Saturday Fun Pack.
This is Mega Saturday Fun Mega Saturday Fun Pack.
Yes. So
Mega Saturday Fun Pack.
So 2 dudes come in. They look like they're in like their early 20s, and I would say like probably about 22. They're looking around, and they decide they would like a PlayStation 3. So Lane bundles up the PlayStation 3, and I grab some discs for the games after they looked for a while, and they decided that they wanted to play like the old Call of Duty games. So they got like Black Ops 2, something and something else. So as she's getting ready to, as she asks them for the money, they go, "What's the return policy?" And she's like, "Well, everything we sell has a 90-day warranty, all the hardware. Mm-hmm. There is no cash returns, but if anything happens within 3 months, we've got you covered." And they're like, "Oh, you don't have like a 30-day money back thing or anything like that?" No, we don't." "Oh, okay. Well, that's not something that, many small businesses do." All right. So they take 2 steps back, and they're talking amongst themselves. Lane and I both at this point are like, okay, they wanted to buy it, use it for a week, and return it. We assume in our heads that they're not going to buy it, but we don't say that. But it's just there's a shared feeling there when stuff like that happens. You kind of get an idea as to what's going on. So after hemming and hawing for a bit, they decide, okay, yeah, we'll take it. We're like, okay, cool. So we sell it.
How much again?
I don't know. They're fucking cheap at this point.
Okay.
It was would have been like 100, I think. It was 100 for like a 160 gigabyte PS3.
Okay.
So they buy that in a couple of, $5 games essentially.
And they're like early 20s.
Yeah.
Okay.
Hour and a half later, they come back in. They're like, it doesn't work. I'm like, okay, well, what seems to be the problem?
I've heard this before.
we test all this. We test everything. We tried 3 games and they all froze on boot up. Like, okay. Now, that would be a really weird thing to get past us, but, saying all 3 games froze on boot up, I'm like, all right, well, maybe it's a disc or something like that. The disk drive error, but how would we have missed it? So, I think they were hoping we were just going to be like, I don't know, here's the money back. Like if there wasn't one we had to replace. Because people always assume that I'm an asshole. But if like if you buy something from me and it's legitimately broken and I don't have a replacement handy, I'm not going to yank you around and be like, well, you'll have to come back in a week and get another one. No, I'm going to
get a replacement. You have a few PS3s laying around.
Yeah, you're going to get that money back if that was actually the case. But we have PS3s at the other store, and I knew this one wasn't broken. They just knew it was the last one we had. So I don't know if I honestly think they were expecting us to just give them the money back.
You think this was buyer's remorse?
Yes, exactly where I'm going with this. Buyer's remorse, because they didn't seem like they wanted to buy it initially as soon as they found out they couldn't return it.
Then why buy it?
And they were talking about how, they wanted to get together with, like, friends and play these games this weekend. So it didn't sound like it was going to be like a long-term thing that they want to do.
They want a weekend rental.
So yes, and that's why places like us don't do cash returns. We can't afford to rent your money while you rent our system. That money needs to be.
Well, you're not renting your money.
Well, we're renting their money if they bring it back.
Yeah, they're getting a free rental.
Yeah, exactly. So Lane this time, it's Lane. Lane hooks it up. And she goes, all right, so what was the issue? And the other guy goes, Black Ops 2 froze 3 times.
Okay.
As opposed to 3 games freezing at the load-up screen. So Lane puts the game in. And you can already tell they're like,
oh no, we're going to get found out.
So it loads up immediately.
Sure.
And Lane's like, she's just playing. She plays for like 5 minutes. She's like, well, fine. Seems like it's fine. They're like, no, try the other games. The other game didn't work. The other games didn't work. I'm like, what other? And they're like, try the Modern Warfare. So Modern Warfare goes in. Works fine. Layton plays that one for like 5 minutes.
Okay. It's a great job.
So we look at him and we're like, here's the last one you bought. And they're like, well, we had a BioShock that froze too, but we didn't buy that from here. Okay, well, we're going to try the last game that you bought from us, which I think was another no, it was those two. It was those two. And we wanted to try the third game. And they're like, oh, that's a BioShock. That was ours. I'm like, okay, well, it looks like everything's fine. And they were like, well, it freezes when we try to go online. Can you try to take the game online? And at this point, I'm like, no. They just keep shifting everything.
Sure. Moving the goalposts.
So they take it back and they leave. I get a call about an hour later, and this is part of the whole story that always makes, like, it was just weird. I answer the phone. I'm like, Luna Video Games. And they're like, hi, this is one of the 2 young men who came in earlier and bought a PS3. Mm-hmm. They referred to themselves as young men. It was just
We
a
are
very
upstanding young men.
Like what? It was just that will stick with me forever. It's like, why are you?
Not even men or boys or.
We are young. I'm one of the 2 young men.
I am 22, sir.
I am 22.
I'm a senior.
I am young and I am a man. I am not a child and I am not old. I'm a young man.
I'm a letter man.
I'm a letter man. So they go, okay. Like, it won't connect to the internet. Which is something that they had said as they were leaving last time, about because they said it was freezing. And they said, maybe the Wi-Fi adapter is broken. This is what they're telling me on the phone now. So basically, when they left last time and they were asking me to check online, I was like, also, we have to clear these systems before we sell them. And you have to be able to log on to the internet to clear the system.
So you had the Wi-Fi at some point.
So we had, the Wi-Fi was working at some point. So they call me back, and he's like, "I'm fairly certain it's the Wi-Fi adapter."
Trying to do his best grown-up voice.
And yeah, I'm surprised they didn't come in like one on top of the other one with a trench coat on. Hi, we are an adult. So he's telling me, okay, and I'm explaining why it worked at one point, and I said, I don't know what the status is of these games. I know that you can still play them online. I said, but did you consider that with everything else working, that it might be a server issue with one of those games? Man, there's just a problem with one of those games right now.
They're old games.
So, like I said, I know you can still play them online, but that doesn't mean that the server is the most upkept. Yeah. So, who knows? I'm just spitballing here. And he's like, no, I don't think it's server side. Or he's like, I don't think it's server side. He's like, I think it's the adapter because all of my iPads and iPhones, all of that stuff is hooking up to our Wi-Fi. And I'm like, that doesn't mean anything.
Sure.
I said, thus implying that the PS3 isn't. And then, he goes, and I know he's like, I'm certain it's the Wi-Fi adapter because when it wouldn't connect via Wi-Fi, I hardwired it in.
Okay.
And he's like, and it didn't work then. And I'm like, okay, then it's not the Wi-Fi, because if it was the Wi-Fi, what is the he's making these false relationships.
Sure. I see where this is going. So how does this resolution fit?
Oh, we're not there yet.
Oh, Jesus.
So So basically, I'm like, look, you brought it here, it worked. Mm-hmm. I said, I have no problem with you exchanging the system for another system if that's what you would like to do. I said, maybe there's just something weird going on. I said, but it works here. So I'm like, there's another system down in Chula Vista. It was actually a slightly nicer model. And
okay.
I was like, just go and exchange it. So I call, so they're like, okay, all right, when are they open till 8? I'm like, yeah, take your receipt. So I call Walter, and I'm like, Walter, please set aside that PlayStation 3. Mm-hmm. I said, when they bring it in, if you could, please set it up, hook it up to the TV, and just show it. No, this is the one they're exchanging. I'm like, show them that you can connect it to the internet. Mm-hmm. I said, and then you can still give them the other one. I said, I just want them to know that we did not sell them a broken product.
But they're bullshitting you.
Yes. But
so why even go through that rigmarole? Because you're a good business person.
Because
you're giving them the benefit of the doubt.
Because it's fun. No, it's not fun, but it's what you have to do.
Sure.
But also, it's a sneaky way of being like, fuck you. I know this works.
Sure.
So, half an hour later, they walk back into the La Mesa store. And I just, at this point, I'm losing my patience. And I go, so you already went down to the other location? It's too far away.
Okay, then.
I said, okay, so what's going on? Well, can you please hook it up to the... Yes. So I take it and I hook it up to the internet and it's fucking fine.
Immediately.
It's fine.
So then what do they say?
I'm like, so I put the game in and I'm like, I'm looking around. I'm like, all right, well, just let me know when I get further than you did or if it's supposed to be freezing right now. And they're like almost immediately like, oh, you're already further than we were. I don't even think I was in the online mode. Like, I just don't.
Why would it freeze at the server?
I just don't think they cared enough to like have me go through it. They're like, hey, you're farther than we went. I think they just realized that at this point it wasn't going to happen.
So why did they have you test the Wi-Fi then at that point?
I don't know.
And the 1% chance that it wouldn't hook up to your Wi-Fi?
No, I think it's because the whole thing is I think they had buyer's remorse and didn't think that we were actually going to test all of this shit out. I think they thought when they were buying it, they're like, and it's I'm not saying you're an asshole. Everyone thinks about this. This happens a lot in retail. If you think I'm lying, a lot of times in retail, people will want to buy something and then return it once they are done using it.
Sure.
Happens with tools. It happens with games.
But with this, you can't do it.
Right. So
you can't do it. Tools, really? Wow.
So
They did it with the sledgehammer once.
Yeah.
No, it was big clippers. I needed to get a lock off, but it was like a fucking huge $20 thing. I just returned. I didn't need it.
Yeah.
That was
So I understand. Like, I don't like that idea, but I understand where it comes from, and I don't think you're bad for it. So when they were doing that in front, I'm like, when they bought it, I'm like, this is going to be problems. I said, I know we're going to have a buyer's remorse situation
because they're like
here.
shifty and like.
So I mean, finally the guy goes, well, what can we do? It's not working at home. And I said, I don't know. I said, but at this point, I said, it has to be something with your internet or something with the Activision servers. Mm-hmm. And I said, you can go down to the other location where I put a PS3 on hold for you, and you can exchange it if you'd like. But there's nothing more I can do for you here. You have to go there. And then they took the receipt and left, and I have no idea what else happened. That was Saturday, and I haven't paid attention to work since then, because Saturday pissed me the fuck off. There was more than that, too, but whatever. That's about all that matters.
That was the resolution?
Yeah.
We don't know how it ended up? It was a cliffhanger.
Yeah. Well, I'll find out from Walter and let you know. I'll have to update it. I'm actually wondering how that happened right now. So, yeah, it's a cliffhanger.
Son of a bitch, Ian. This could be the most disappointing Tales from the Game Store yet, because there's no resolution.
There's no good resolution. I just got them out of my fucking hair.
Oh God! I hope this is disappointing to the fan base of Tales from the Game Store.
I don't give a shit.
This is like watching the Two Towers.
Yep.
You gotta wait a whole year. This is Infinity War. Just snap the fingers. We don't know what's gonna happen to these. They try to scam the other store or not.
No idea. Walter would have killed them though.
Jesus Christ.
Yeah, it's intense. So hopefully I'll have an update for next week. We'll see what happened. I have a feeling that Walter probably lit them on fire and threw them into the street.
Oh, okay. Walter's not as patient. When he's the nice one at your video game store, then
Walter is very, very nice and very sweet, but he can also he can lose his patience very quickly.
Okay, I guess it's like me to an extent. All right, that was our Tales from the Game Store, the Mega Saturday Fun Pack Edition. All right, Ian, we have a Patreon poll topic. Ian, how do you...
Patreon.com/CU podcast.
Ian's going to have some writing up.
Pick a tier. Get involved.
I got some tiers. Got some tiers from looking at videogamepreservation.com. That's the tiers I have.
It is warm in here.
Well, you got fired up for that story, in a way. So here's our Patreon poll topics. In third place, 18%. Oof. Games you've wanted to finish but find too difficult. 18% only. What would a CU podcast movie look like? 24% on the dot. And number one at 58%. Games you've disliked when younger, but now enjoy when older. Ian, this was your suggestion.
I could not stand Civilization when I was growing up.
Really?
Yeah.
The original on the PC?
Yeah. Just couldn't get into it. I didn't like looking at all the
icons and
the icons,
little weird looking settler thing with like a troll.
Yeah, like all of that stuff. I could not get into it. You couldn't keep me occupied. You couldn't keep my attention held with a game of Civilization for more than, I don't know, 5 minutes. I just never got into it. And it wasn't that I didn't like builders or things like that, because I liked SimCity. I liked some sim games. I liked some strategy games, but Civ never ever clicked for me when I was younger.
Really?
And then it wasn't until Civ 4 came out that I really started to...
Which is regarded as one of the best ones.
Yeah.
2 is regarded as a classic. 4 is a classic. I think 6
is very good. Yeah.
So it's like the Star Trek movies.
Yeah.
You go to the even numbers.
5 was definitely considered an off
year.
An off year. I mean, still a good game, but, an off year. So 6 has been really good. But yeah, then I got into it with 4, and I don't know. I just realized that I think the reason I never liked them when I was younger was I didn't feel like I ever really understood what was going on. I think I made the game...
How old are you talking? Were you like 10?
Yeah, 10.
10's a little young for Civilization. You're probably like 12, 13.
Probably, but I was playing like computer games, all sorts since I was like 7 or 8, Sierra Adventures, but still.
But that's different than Civilization.
It is. So I understand what you're saying there.
Because we got it with the Sound Blaster 16 pack. It was a 4-pack Microprose game. I remember playing it originally and not getting it. I came back a year later and I understood it more. I gave it a chance.
So, I moved on and was doing all sorts of other stuff. And then, it was Civ 4. A friend suggested I pick it up. And I did, and I was like, holy shit, this is great. And it's not nearly as complex as I thought. Civ is a game of complex interactions and choices, but the actual flow of the game is not very hard to learn.
No.
And that's, I think, one of the things that scared me was just this idea that I'd never be able to...
It's too complicated.
...to figure it all out. I'm like, okay, I'm going to go play Willy Beamish instead.
Never got through Willy Beamish. I can never get past that second day with the bully.
I like that game. It's a weird one, though.
Never understood it. That was a Dynamics release.
Yeah, exactly.
My friend had it on his... we played it off, I think it was his Apogee server, wherever the hell, or downloaded from, where the fuck it was in 93 on the internet, whatever the hell. Remember Apogee?
Yeah.
No?
Or Apogee Games?
What was it? No, he had CompuServe.
Yeah, I was going to say.
CompuServe. I think
CompuServe and Prodigy, but Prodigy didn't have stuff like that.
No, he had Prodigy.
Okay.
He had Prodigy. I don't know if he downloaded it or he... No, that's too big a download.
Yeah, you couldn't have done that.
That was on CD, wasn't
Prodigy.
it? No, that was on disc.
It was on disc and CD.
You could have downloaded that.
I don't think
disc.
Prodigy offered that sort of...
Okay, then he had bought it.
That's fine. I got it for my 10th birthday. Willy Beamish. So, so yeah, it would be Civ for me.
I don't have anything on top of my head, to be honest. Because why would I come back to a game I disliked when I was younger ever? Why would I even think about coming back?
Well, because, people might like it a lot, and you may have played it younger in a situation when you weren't as into it, and you were like, what is it all about? And you went back later.
All right,
that's
fine.
what I did with Civ.
Looking at a certain NES guide app, this is the beta version of a new one, by the way. You know what? Ghosts and Goblins.
Fair.
Just scroll past. Ghosts and Goblins, way too difficult when you're, 8 years old, 9 years old. Like, couldn't get past the first level if you put a gun to 8-year-old Thick but Quick Pat's head when he was 8. Couldn't do it. Nowadays, I'm not bad at Ghosts and Goblins or Ghouls and Ghosts. I'm, a little bit more... My reactions have gotten better when I got older. Usually it's the opposite when it comes to stuff. But, I'm a little better at that intricacy of, game design and, it's like respectable. Yeah, it's true. But I'm better at Contra than I was. Anyway, so that's one that, in general, I those games like that, I didn't like those games like that where it was so punishing or I couldn't do it. Now I could probably get into it a little bit.
Sure.
I can get into it and get into the trenches with a Ghosts and Goblins.
As long as it's, a hard game, but not a hard game like it's not the Blue Bomber for you. It's not Mega Man.
Oh, well, those I never played it as a kid that much, but not the Blue Bomber. I was like, where are you going to go with that? What's another one? I like Clax now. Ian doesn't like Clax.
Clax gets such an immediate I'm surprised at how immediate that reaction was. I hate Clax.
Clax is
my God.
3.5 stars according to a certain NES guide app.
What?
Yes, it's enjoyable.
No, it's not. It is the 90s, and now it is time to throw Clax away.
It's the 90s, and it's red. It's time for Clax.
It sucks. That game
It's
sucks.
time to Clax it up, Ian.
Clax is fucking miserable.
It's good. I remember playing it in the arcade machine. They had an arcade Clax at Casino Pier in Seaside Heights. And I remember getting my ass kicked when I was a kid. That was just like, oh, this looks interesting. Weird to have a puzzle game like that in the arcade now you think about it. But that was an arcade game.
Yeah.
All those great Atari games in the 80s, to early 90s, the mid 80s. I was if I could have an arcade of just those Atari games, like a Rampart next to a Paperboy, next to a Vindicators, next to a Road Blasters, next to an APB, next to a Marble Madness. Are you getting the picture? These are all distinct games that are entirely different. I would do it in a second. With the Clax, I would do it. I'm sorry I'm not good at this because I'm only thinking about NES games. PC
That's
stuff.
all you ever think about is NES games.
What the hell? I just brought up Willy Beamish and Civilization. No, I know a lot about games. Come on, man.
Come on, man.
I'm just looking for the NES things I have a list in front of me. I really can't remember a lot of PC games I didn't like because that I would come back to. Iron Helix, I didn't like that game. I never came back to it. That was part of the Sound Blaster pack. Remember Iron Helix?
Yep, I do. All right, well, I mean, that might be that.
That might be that. I gave you Ghosts and Goblins.
That's fine. And that's it.
Is that it?
We're done. Yeah, because we're socking that other question away for polls.
So I'm really having trouble finding another NES game that I didn't like and came back to. I'm just trying to find one. North and South never played as a kid. Is that it for the CU podcast? This was a weird one.
That was a good one.
It wasn't that bad.
It was fine.
Should we put that PSP one on YouTube? We can leave it off. It was a little harsh.
Yeah, you can leave it off.
I thought it was fair though. Harsh but fair.
It's fair. It's true.
Yeah, whatever. As long as he doesn't come back and do anything. People know that what's going on. People know his heart. I'll just say that.
Yes.
People know where his heart lies. All right. I got a certain NES guidebook that's almost out of print. So don't buy this one. Wait for the new one. So
please tell everyone about your little project.
Oh, the Super Nintendo one?
I'm making fun of you
Oh, yes, Ian.
for making fun of me.
I made fun of you?
The Yokoi kids. You called it Little Project, so I
Well,
just referred to your Super Nintendo book as Little Project.
Well, it's cute. It's a hobby at this point. It's not a business. So
No,
I know what
I
the
didn't
goal
say
is.
it was a business.
Well, I mean, what do you want me to call it? Your hobby?
Project is fine.
I got more information out of you than you provided, Ian. That's why I'm a good interviewer. You're like, okay, that's it. I'm like, well, tell us about the games you've done. Okay, and community.
Well, you shot me down so soon.
I'm sorry, Ian.
You shot me down
It was
soon.
a little needle I give you. You didn't respond well to the needle sometimes.
It's fine.
So, check out Yokoi Kids. Check out ultimatesnes.com, or I think I have supernesbook.com. You can pre-order a certain Super Nintendo guidebook that I'm working on 6 hours a day at this point, even on weekends.
Check out Pat's Milk Market. Lots of deals at the Milk Market.
You're making fun of my boobs? What are you doing? Talking
No,
about
I
what are you
was.
talking about?
I don't know. My brain started going elsewhere, and I was thinking about what it would be like if
see my
Pat
nipples?
owned a corner store.
A bodega?
Yeah.
I'd have at least one bodega cat in my book. Check out Bodega Cats on Twitter. One of the best.
Yeah, do that too.
Have I worn the Bodega Cat shirt on the podcast? I did it once. I wore the Bodega Cats shirt. How was your zoo visit, by the way?
Oh, it was fantastic. We did not get to say goodbye to Bayun, which was sad.
The pandas are leaving us because
Yeah,
China hates us now.
That's fine.
We had a good run. It was like 25, 30 years of pandas.
I'm going to be political right here. I'm blaming Trump directly for
the tariffs
for us.
war?
Yeah, for us. From what I heard,
Oh, it had something to do with it?
from what I heard, and I could be wrong, but from people in the Zoological Society, is basically this: even when governments don't get along,
The zoos get along because you have
the
to.
zoos get along because it's for a greater good. It's for
Yes.
a greater cause.
It's like the Olympics.
Someone said, I was talking to someone about it, and I can't remember. They basically kind of gave me a wink and a nudge and said, in the past 2 years,
Things
that
got harder.
relationship has gotten harder. And I think that's
Son
why
of
they
a
lost.
fucking bitch. Now I'm pissed.
So, yeah. But it was really good. I got to see my Tasmanian Devils. They're my favorite at this point, I think.
Still like that. I like the wombats.
We said hi to the fishing cat for you.
Oh, Sam the fishing cat. That's why I call him Sam.
He was kind of hidden, but he was up there. We could see him cleaning himself.
He's been more out in the open lately.
Yeah.
He's so camouflaged though. It could be a she. I like to call him Sam. That last time I saw him, I looked past him because usually I'm looking up there. He was sitting right there.
Vonnie's eyes.
One time he went back and forth. I was like, "This is the best day of my life."
Yeah, I've had that. I had him playing in the water the once. And it was, yeah.
I've never seen them in the water.
Once.
Oh, the fishing
Yeah, he
cat.
was in it, and then he would swim and then come up, and he was kind of
my God.
looping around.
Did you get video?
No.
Oh,
this
God.
was a couple years ago.
My favorite.
But
Sam the fishing cat.
anyways, the zoo is always good. It always calms my ass right the fuck down.
Zoo is the greatest thing on earth. And I'm not going to bring up horror stories. I try to retweet stuff about animals disappearing. Like in China, there's that turtle species that, the last female died. They tried to impregnate it because they don't know if there's any females left. There's
Right.
2 in the wild. We don't know what they are. They're all fucking dead.
So,
Support your local zoo and conservation efforts. This could be when Pat becomes billionaire Pat in 15 years. This could be my greatest cause.
I want to be the next Conrad Prebis. He's the guy whose name is all over, all the different shit. It's Conrad Prebis, Rades, and who's the other
you
one?
want me, Mr. Rady? He's still around, Rady.
Yeah, there's 3 big time donors who have their names all over the zoo, on their
So you wouldn't be an anonymous. You would just say, yeah, I want the Ferguson Tasmanian Devil Pit.
I'm gonna be perfectly honest with you.
You want your name
if
on
I
it.
ever get the money to
You want
start
the
doing
name on
cool
it.
stuff at the zoo, yeah, I want the name on it.
Maybe I'll gift you. Maybe if a package, I'll gift you that, Ian. I'll give the Ferguson Tasmanian Devil Pit.
Yeah, exactly.
You can hang out. You can feed them. You can launch feed out there with a button. I don't know.
Vonnie and I were watching some zoo goers feed the okapi. Oh, that because I really wanted to go
That's
see
my
the okapi.
ex's favorite, the okapi.
Love
It's
the
her absolute
okapi.
favorite.
And there's a calf now. There's a baby okapi.
Yes, absolutely.
The baby okapi, we waved at it, but it was hiding off in the back. But one of the bigger okapis was up front, and it's this little area where there's a fence and a spot for it to rest its head on the fence, and it's where people who pay more can stand, and they're feeding it romaine lettuce leaves.
Oh wow!
One by one.
Oh.
And it
Big
was
ass
cute, but Vonnie and I are watching, and you could almost see the okapi getting angry, it's fucking romaine lettuce, Sharon. I need more than one at a time.
One leaf isn't gonna get it done. It's like with humans, you don't ever fork one piece. It's like a whole
Right, exactly.
chunk of them.
And the people are like, oh, and the tongue comes out. It's cute, and it's like pulling them away.
For those out there who don't know what a copy is, because your zoos don't compare, unfortunately, or not. And a copy is a cousin of a giraffe. It's basically the combination of a giraffe and a zebra when you look at it.
Yeah.
But it's basically a mini zebra. Excuse me, mini giraffe.
It's got
the same tongue and same head as a giraffe.
It's got the same,
But it has striped lower body.
And then its ass
really,
haunches are stripy.
It's like a made up fucking No Man's Sky animal.
They're the best. They're the best. Okapis are the best. And yes, Okapis definitely look like they were generated by No Man's Sky.
I don't know how I thought of that.
but it's absolutely right.
But of course they're in critical condition because their habitat's gone and people kill them for meat. This is why you fucking need zoos, because there is potentially a future where a majority of the animals will just be in zoos.
Yes.
Like, that's not outlandish. If you don't have the zoos, there's nowhere for them to live.
Yeah.
Having zoos makes sure that some survive at least. But they're in captivity. Eat me. They're having a great fucking life. They're not getting hunted by anything. They don't have to worry about fucking food. They live longer in captivity as well.
Also, if you want them to live long outside of captivity, you need the research that is done.
Which the zoos provide. What's wrong with this? Why does the Tasmanian devil have a face cancer? Or why they die?
And didn't we learn, I think we looked it up the last time we talked about the zoo. There is a face cancer, and they're fighting back from it because of this shit.
Yes. They do research.
Tasmanian devils went from
let me tell you,
just fine to nearly, like, almost extinct, like right on the line, and now better again.
When you get these animals in your local zoo, step one is to getting them. Step two is keeping them alive. So you have to do research, medical research on the koala, for example, on the Tasmanian devil, on these creatures to make sure they live longer. Animals aren't cheap. You can't just buy a giraffe. So you have to take care of the creatures, and that's research that goes back out into the wild.
Look at these cute morons.
Why do I have to explain this to people? Why do I have to? Why, Ian? Why? I thought the zoos was the one thing that everyone could fucking agree upon. That, not saying all zoos are the greatest. Zoos in general are fucking great.
Woo! A baby Tasmanian devil.
We should just live stream the Tasmanian devil capture came at the zoo on our Twitch. Yeah. They probably have one. They must have one. All right, I'm sorry. Go support your local zoo. If you're in San Diego, please, the San Diego Zoo or the Wildlife Safari, which is also the same organization. Go out. I gotta go back. I haven't been to the safari in
I need to go very
6
soon,
years.
Yes.
I gotta get back to that. That's more of a wide open. We're about captivity. That's more of a wide open, literal safari atmosphere.
Yeah, and the day, it can be real hot or real cold, but if you go on a day where, like, you hit that train ride, because you can walk it, but if it's the first time you go, I do recommend doing the train at the Wild Animal Park too, to see everything, get an overview, because it's big and you have to hike a lot around there. But you get on a train and it will tour you around the huge exhibits, and if the animals are out, it's awesome. It's like scenes from a nature documentary because the shit is massive.
Yeah.
But if they're all hiding and sleeping, you're looking at boring ground.
Let the animals go. What? So they can get killed by poachers? Sure. They can get cut up and for their parts by fucking animals that are worse. Sorry.
This Tasmanian devil's wearing a cast. That Tasmanian devil wouldn't have gotten a cast if
it would not get cast in the wild.
If it broke its arm in the wild.
Not in Tasmania. Absolutely not. I was going to say New Zealand, but it's Tasmania.
Yeah.
It's a little island off New Zealand in Australia. No, we always forget about Tasmania. All right, we're going to get going. That's Ian
it.
Ferguson.
That's me.
I'm Pat Contry.
That's him.
Be good to each other.
Good day.